Good morning, family. I'm running a little late this morning. It's good to see you all. You all look wonderful. Everybody who's joining us online, we welcome you as well. Thank you for being here today. I'm grateful to be with you all. I think winter is over for Florida. Don't say that, John. It might come back with a rage. Yeah. Shh, now, shh. This song's on my mind this morning. From the highest of heights to the depths of the sea, creation's revealing the majesty. From the colors of fall to the fragrance of spring, every creature unique in the song that it sings, all exclaiming, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God, all powerful, untamable. Awestruck, we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim you, who has told every lightning bolt where it should go. Oh, seen heavenly storehouses laden with snow. Who imagined the sun and gave source to its light? Yet conceals it to bring us the coldness of night. None can fathom, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God, all powerful, unnameable. Awestruck, we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim you are amazing, God. Yeah, you are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. Oh, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God, all powerful, unnameable. Awestruck, we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim you are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. You are amazing, God. Indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name. You are amazing, God, all powerful, unnameable. Awestruck, we fall to our knees as we humbly proclaim you are amazing, God. Oh, you are amazing, God. You are amazing, God.
Thank you, Reverend John Scott. Welcome to First Unity Spiritual Campus. If you're scrolling and joining us online, we hope you will stay for the rest of our service. I'm going to invite the spiritual support team who are here present to come up beside me. I'd like to introduce you to all of our online viewers, so just huddle around me here. There are many others on the spiritual support team. This happens to be the team that's here for the first Sunday. We are all here to support you, to hold you in prayer. There is a prayer box outside to the left here in the sanctuary. This is Chaplain Lily Lightbridge. This is Chaplain Beryl Eaton. This is Reverend Carolyn Ballinger. And this is Chaplain Bridie Maisie, and I am Reverend Aileen Curtin. So I'm very thankful to all of you to be here, and we are the spiritual support for you, Reverend John. We are the wind beneath the wings. All right, so thank you. Thank you. Round of applause. So now that we have an online presence, it's good for you to know that you can also ask us for prayer online, and you can find that on the website. So I'm here to remind you that if you haven't already done so, to put your phone on airplane mode or turn it off, and make this a sacred space for yourself as we now enter the sacred part of our service, and Reverend Carolyn Ballinger is going to lead us in a reading of her choosing.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. So, I always run across something on the internet, and this was something I really needed to read this week. After everything going on, and I'm in the process of moving, and the move, of course, was not my plan. My owner of my unit said, I have to sell, and you have to go, and so I've decided to go. And my sister decided she wanted to retire, and has chosen Ocala as the place to retire. And since we want to remain close, I'm going before her. So it's a kind of a long move. But a lot of things have been going on, not just in my own world, but in the world in general. And in my relationships, I was always the one to give and give and give. I'm a very passionate, compassionate person. And so I ran across this, and it's called Let Them. It may have been something that you've read, and maybe it's something that you need to hear again too. So it took me a long time to learn this, because I tolerated a lot, and I let things roll off my back, and I forgave and would come back for more. And I realized that people would keep treating me the same way, and I kept letting them. So I made that mistake just to be so forgiving and so understanding. And I overlooked the fact that I was being repeatedly disrespected. So I read this, and I hope that it will resonate with you as well. Let them be upset. Let them judge you. Let them misunderstand you. Let them gossip about you. Let them ignore you. Let them doubt you. Let them not like you. Let them not speak to you. Let them run your name in the ground, and let them make you out to be the villain. Whatever it is that people want to say about you, let them. Kindly step aside and let them. The hard truth is they know how much they are hurting you. They just simply don't care. They did it knowing it would cause them to lose you. They did it anyway. People that love you care about how they make you feel. The end. Let them go. The lack of respect was the closure. The lack of apology was the closure. The lack of care was the closure. The lack of accountability was the closure. The lack of honesty, that was the closure. Let them go. Make the decision to no longer sit at the table where you might be the topic when you get up. Let them go. You can still be kind. You can even still love them deeply, but do it from the distance they created in their words and actions. Access to you is a privilege they have proven they can't be trusted with. Let them go. You don't need to tell your side of the story. God already knows. Let God fight the battle for you and let them go. It's taken me a long time to get here. Sleepless nights, countless tears, managing a range of emotions filled with anger, disappointment, confusion, and deep, deep hurt. Lots of self-reflection and self-preservation, deep prayer, seeking wisdom from those much wiser than me. If you are struggling with this, please know you're not alone. We will never understand why people hurt people, especially those in charge. But we can do the hard work to grow ourselves, because healed people do, in fact, heal people. So don't dare let them steal your joy. Don't dare let them steal your light. Don't you dare let them steal your peace. You are in control of that. Hold tight to what you can control. Release your grip on what you can't control. And let them go. Join me. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Carolyn. So now we've let everything go. So now we're free to meditate, aren't we? So easier said than done. It's a constant practice. That's why we're here on this earth. I always believe that we are souls sent here to evolve, to grow spiritually. And all of our challenges grow us. So I'm here to remind all of us of the divinity of who we all are, including those people in our lives who might irk us. So now I'm going to invite the bell. And the bell is an invitation to come into the dimension, the depth of spaciousness, divinity that is right here within us, always here in the present moment. So maybe now closing your outer eyes or keeping them at a soft gaze. Maybe noticing your body here. And those of you who are joining us online, just making yourself as physically comfortable as you can. Maybe noticing your breath. Maybe it's the first time today that you're aware that you are breathing in and out. How does that happen? Your breath breathes you without any effort. We simply let go and let God. Let go, let Spirit. So our job is to relax our bodies and come into the spaciousness, the depth of timelessness, deathless, infinity, eternal life that always breeds us. So continuing to scan your body here, maybe shifting where you're seated, maybe realigning, relaxing your shoulders. Maybe now noticing a relaxed heaviness coming into your body temple here. Because now we're remembering who we are beyond this body, beyond all of the hurts, the angst of the past. Just coming into the awareness of who we are. So continue staying connected with your breath here. Maybe noticing where the inhale breath begins as you fill up and expand the whole body. And then as you exhale, just noticing that your breath is now getting longer, deeper, and that you are now coming into a relaxation and a peace that is always here within you. So bringing your awareness to your spiritual eye, the third eye, the space between your eyebrows. Maybe you've been meditating for a long time and you now know where to go for the next couple of minutes. But if you need my assistance here, just noticing if you're in a place of no thought. And if there are any thoughts, just become the witness, the awareness that you are the one who is noticing these thoughts, but you are not these thoughts. You can stay here or move to your heart space. The heart, the anahata heart that lies at the back of your physical heart, is where we can be at peace with all sentient beings, with all situations in our life, knowing that there is a spiritual solution to everything we encounter. Every challenge, every obstacle grows our heart, brings us to a state of compassion. And maybe you can rest here and maybe notice if you're holding on to resentment towards someone or a situation in the past. Can you simply let it go here? Doing your own personal inventory, whether that is prayer or simply staying quiet. So without my words for about a minute, just allowing the loving essence, the divinity of who you are, to simply flow freely here. And from this place now, maybe quietly affirming the following to go to the depths of your being. God is love, and God is life. Life manifests itself in and through all people, all situations. It is the center of my own being. The divinity within me overcomes all negative conditions now. I now turn the light of divinity of who I am upon all fearful or anxious thoughts in my mind, and I am free. Breathing in, love is, and breathing out, I am. Another long, deep inhale breath. Breathing in, love is. And exhaling, I am. I know that I am love, and that love dispels all fear, all negativity. So as you begin to make your return now back here to this space, this place, maybe noticing as you lengthen your inhale breath and as you exhale, you can send this light of love that is you, and connecting here with all those with us in this world, this space. Maybe beginning to slowly move your body, maybe draw your hands over your body, regrounding, reconnecting as you open up your eyes here and beginning to look around and maybe catching the eyes of someone near you as we say together, Namaste.
Namaste. Reverend Aileen, as always, thank you for bringing us into alignment with the stillness. The stillness. Man, what a world we live in. And what an interesting theme we're invited into with the way things are in the world to thrive in 2025. Because some of us probably feel like we're doing everything we can to survive 2025. Whether it's the fear surrounding us politically or religiously, interrelationally. Some of us may feel that sense of tension. How many of you felt any of that lately? And let me share that I'm very aware, because within myself too, there's a difference in judgment and discernment. There's a difference in judging the way things are and discerning the times. There's a difference. But every time I feel tension, it's asking for my attention and inviting me into a space so that I can create an intention. Like, what is it that I'm going to do with this? Every inquiry is an opportunity, so I inquire and I require something of the inner consciousness, and then ultimately can acquire the wisdom that comes from that deeper space within. But where I need to watch my reactions is in the place of the story I'm telling about what's happening. Not as much about what's happening, but the story I'm telling about what's happening. How many of you notice consistently the voices in your head? Without diagnosis, you just notice the voices that are in your head. There is a bit of a schizophrenic, multiple personality, dissociative personality disorder kind of thing happening in our world. And I promise you, folks, it's it's really not as it seems. There's something else much deeper that is inviting us to a higher way of seeing. It's almost like we're being forced to elevate and to no longer procrastinate when it comes to the principle of our life, what it is we really, really believe that we believe. And so this is the invitation. The invitation to thrive in the midst of a survival situation is audacious, to some insane. I remember Wayne Dyer being told he was going to speak at a certain area of the world. And they said, look, our only thing that we suggest to you is that you not talk about prosperity. Talk about other stuff, but not prosperity. These folks are going through desperate times. Don't bring prosperity into it because it's just not going to resonate. And he said, oh my, you shouldn't have told me that. Because if they're experiencing desperation, then prosperity is probably where I need to go the most, because it's not, it's to sort of give us an understanding that we don't need to talk just about what is happening at the moment and the story that we're telling about it. We need to decide to change our story and make our story. Well, this is the way it came to me while you were doing the meditation, Reverend Aileen. Thank you for this. I'm a word nerd, and so the words like just kind of swirl around in my head, just like the inquire, require, and acquire. Those all work together. So I'm inquiring, I'm requiring the wisdom to wake up, and then I'm acquiring the knowledge and the wisdom that I need to move forward. And this is why it's important to utilize meditation and prayer, so that I'm going within so that I can stop going without. But this is what I heard sitting over there just a moment ago. Recitation creates a resonation and guides you toward a destination. So you have to ask, what am I reciting? Because reciting something is to over and over again repeat something, either a story or a narrative within my own head, and that recitation has a resonation. Everything is energy and everything is vibrating, and there's a vibrational frequency that happens from my recital, what I'm reciting, and it's a resonation, and how I'm resonating is going to determine what gets attracted to me, but it's also going to determine the destination I arrive at. And the stories that I'm telling myself, and look, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know, that you haven't already heard. If you've been around New Thought or a self-help book of any sort, you've heard most of the things that I'm talking about so far this year. So this is not like new revelation. But my question to me and to all of us as a collective is, are we going to finally engage these principles and actually begin to habitually build a habitat that is worth living in? Because if I have just intellectual acknowledgement of these things, but I don't actually engage them as a practice, they don't really become practical for me, because I'm not practicing them. And this is when we start to get angry. We get mad, we'll hear it. Don't tell me that things aren't bad in the world. Have you seen what's bad? Well, yeah, I've seen that there's evil in the world and there's wickedness. And remember that the word wicked is from the word wick, which means twisted. It doesn't mean necessarily bad, it just means twisted. So it's not straight, it's complex instead of simple. And so what we're seeing with the wickedness in the world is a twisted way of seeing life, seeing people, seeing circumstances. And the thing is if I enter into that energy with the same energy that is being put off, I'm not going to change the energy in any way. I'll just help to increase the energy, because we're all energetic beings. We're all essentially batteries running around here. We have both negative and a positive post within us, and we are batteries. We are energetic. We're bringing electronic energy to our situations. And the question is, what is it that I'm wanting to light? What fire am I wanting to light? Something that's a fire of change, or do I want to just get into the midst of that vortex? And boy, I'm telling you, there's a lot of really wonderful invitations to that buffet. And it looks like they're serving up some good food. I'm telling you, if you scroll through Facebook, it is so inviting to jump into other people's party. Anybody notice that? It's like baiting you. You start to feel like a fish, and then you get hooked. And before you know it, you're hook, line, and sinker in the midst of an argument that's literally leading to no progress at all. I'm going to admit that I got drawn into one this week. And mid-conversation, I realized I was being conned out of my peace. And I also realized it is pointless to reason with someone who has decided to not be reasonable. And that could have been me or could have been them. Either way, it's not reasonable. So move aside. I'm not going to convince someone else of a different story. They have to be the script writer of their own life. And I need to decide the script that I'm writing. And I need to remind myself that rightness isn't what matters. Alignment is what matters. Not whether I'm right or wrong or they're right or wrong. I mean, that's why Rumi, the great Sufi poet, said, out beyond the concepts of right and wrong is a field. I'll meet you there. Philosophers and actually physicists would call that the quantum field of possibilities. So think of it in that way. Rumi is inviting us into the quantum field of the possibilities instead of being caught up in all of the story and the narrative of someone else's play. I've decided to walk out of the play and walk away from their theater. They can have all of the drama they want. And people will get the government they deserve. People will get the leadership they deserve. People will, but what about me in the midst of it? That's what I'm saying. That's what I want to speak to today more than anything else, is that we actually can rise above this. Do we believe? The reason I felt drawn to the song today, indescribable, uncontainable. You place the stars in the sky and you know them by name, even though we've tried to name everything, but you know them by name. You are amazing, God. And that God is not just out here, but it is in here. It is the God within you that is wanting to connect and align with the resonance of the divine outside of you, all powerful, unnameable, awestruck. We just fall to our knees and as we humbly proclaim. And the reason we fall to our knees is metaphor for surrender. I'm surrendering to the all-knowing. And as I surrender to the all-knowing, whoosh, I start to move with the river instead of upstream against it. You can't push against what you don't want and expect a vibrational match to what you do want. Can I say that again? You can't push against what you don't want and then expect a vibrational match for what you do want. And there's a couple of reasons. One, you're pushing against something, more than likely that's an illusion. So it's a waste of energy, but you're giving your energy away to that, and you're not able to align yourself with the truth of who you truly are. You don't have to go upstream when downstream is the best route. Just be in the flow of life. Carrie and I, we went whitewater rafting. I'll tell you my side. You ask her side at some point. I had been to the Ocoee in Tennessee multiple times, and I had been whitewater rafting, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. If you ever get a chance to go, if you're adventurous, go for it. It's really fun. And there's certain times of the year that it's more challenging than others. And I just thought, because Carrie's very athletic, and I've always been athletic. I've always enjoyed but it's different than Disney World. To go whitewater rafting, it's different. You don't have a switch to turn it off. You're at the mercy of the river. And so you have to, what I liked about it was there's a team effort. You either figure out how to unify and navigate, or you're going to turn the boat over and you're going to get wet and at worst hit a rock and possibly injure yourself. I remember hearing the guide say to us, he was trying to point out that actually he used this term. He said, "This is not Disney World. I cannot turn the river off. So you'll have to work with me to navigate it." And what is the point? Flow with the river, not against it, because it's not going to work to flow against it anyway. It's going to lead to injury, possibly drowning. And if you feel like you're drowning in the current state of affairs, it could be because you've decided in some way with your story to go upstream. Now, I'm not saying to go along with evil, go along with wickedness, with racism, with sexism, with homophobia, with all of the other phobias and isms that are out there. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get into the river of the flow of life and let it take you where you need to go in spite of what's happening in the world around you. But if you're constantly resisting, what you resist will persist, and what you fight, you'll ignite. And it's getting into this suppleness, this surrender. Go back to the terminology using last week of yoga. Yoga is a wonderful way to find out whether you're flexible or not. Oh my. My first introduction to yoga was hot yoga, and it was a hot mess. It was hot. I mean, it was like Florida August hot. And I don't know if they did this on purpose and put humidity in the room, but you could have cut it with a chainsaw. And we're all sweating, and I'm trying to figure out the up dogs, down dogs, backward flip frog thing. I was trying to figure it all out. And in that stretching and in that space, I found out just how flexible I was and how not flexible I was. It introduced both. But the beautiful thing about yoga is it's about coming into alignment with the ideas of flexibility and surrender. The word means union or at one with. And that's what we're working on right now. I believe trying to navigate these really interesting waters of our current experience and still be able to surrender to the Tao presence, be able to surrender to the pure presence that we've called God. And to be able to actually, for once and for all, change our story from a narrative of what we don't want to what it is we do want. And so here's a few questions. I'll go through these quickly. Questions to ask yourself this week as you're seeing the swirling about in the media and in the world and what is transpiring and all of these executive orders and all of the ICE raids and all of the other things that are transpiring, and you're looking at it and it's swirling around in your head, and in some ways you're going, this is a confirmation of what I was afraid was going to happen, and we see all of the stuff. As you're doing that, ask yourself, when it comes to your particular story, are you content with the content of your story? Not the content that's flowing towards you from the news networks, because they are literally intentionally shaking up the space because they don't, whoever they are, this is not trying to throw any shade on any particular news network, they don't want us to be unified, because a unified people can get too much done that might not be good for business. This is one of the reasons that they keep us asleep as much as possible. And the sleep we're experiencing now is this gross division. It's not even Trump or Biden or any of these other individuals. It's not even them individually. We are in an energetic space right now that is inviting us into the truth. And that's why there's a convolution of the truth. That's why people are more concerned about their agenda than they are facts or truth. You know why that is? Because the earth is correcting itself and the universe is correcting itself, and it's inviting us to seek out the truth instead of trying to be right. It's asking us to come into a place of alignment with pure presence and pure consciousness. And until we are disoriented, most of us don't reorient because we're asleep. And it doesn't feel good. When we look around and we see the lack of consciousness and compassion and kindness in the world and respect and honor for people, when whole groups of people are hated and targeted, it is painful to watch that. And apparently, as a human society, we haven't learned our lesson yet. But folks that are sitting here in this space and we are claiming that the God is within us and that pure consciousness is guiding us, our call is not to fight against the systems that are broken. Our call is to resurrect within us the truth of who we are and build a new system. Now, I know I keep harping on this. But folks, if we don't get this, we're just going to continue to go around. It's like the children of Israel. It's all a metaphor in the Old Testament of the Christian Bible, and it's the Hebrew Bible. It's kind of I started to think it's kind of an insult to Jewish folks to call the Old Testament old. It's actually their Bible. So in the Hebrew Bible, where it talks about the children of Israel, and they went around in the wilderness for 40 years. And if you look at a map by foot at a basic pace of walking, it's 11 miles. 11 miles. And they went around in that same wilderness for 40 years. That's a metaphor that if we don't get involved with this growth pattern of pure presence, if we don't get into the flow of pure presence, we're going to revolve, go in a circle. Now, Matt, you remember the spin tops? Anybody remember those? Those were so fun. the spin tops, and and all they do is spin. Now, they may move about a little bit, but it's in a very small space, and they just spin. And the reason that many of us feel dizzy is because we feel like the universe has thrown us into the washing machine and turned it on spin. And maybe that's what's happening. Maybe we are. Maybe in some way there is a cleansing of the garments that we've worn, so that we can put on the cloak of righteousness and really wear it, not with pride, but with a deep sense of humility and service. So are you content with the content of your story? Because the story you're telling about your life is vital to what you experience. It's vital to what you experience. You can talk yourself into depression. You can talk yourself out of it. I'm not talking about chemical depression. I'm not telling anybody to get off their medication if you need it. God knows, please don't, especially dropping it quickly. Your brain has already become adapted to it and needs it to a degree. So I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is that we can begin to use our voice to stop talking ourselves into pain and suffering. Use our voice to lift up the words that will bring us into a higher space of being. To make the most of my life, I get to take moments to reflect on my thoughts, my words, and my actions, and choose them with intention and care. Choose what I'm going to say about my life. And be able to catch yourself when you're doing it. How many have done that before? Catch yourself mid-sentence and you're like, oh, whoa, I don't want that to manifest. On second thought. And see, and I do this in conversations as well. I love now that when you're awake to it, when you start to build a habit of checking yourself before you wreck yourself. Boy, did I just age myself. I think that's late 80s, early 90s. Check yourself before you wreck yourself. You need a checkup from the neck up or something like that. I can't remember what it was. Am I content with the content of my story? And then the second thing is recognizing that not only are you the author, but you're the authority and you're the one who can authorize the edicts of your own life, what you want your story to be. You are not just a bystander, you are a participator in the unfolding of your life. But if you're not intentionally guiding the story, then other things are stepping in and hijacking your song. And you don't get to write the song of your life because you have too many co-writers. You have too many people adding to your script. And when they add to your script, they're going to add to your prescription, and ultimately they're going to add to the scripture of your life, what you hold sacred, and that what unfolds in your life. You're the author, you're the authority, and you're the one who has the right to authorize what will transpire in your life. Think about it this way. These are very basic verbal reactions that many of us go through in any given day. And this is not to point at anyone. This is to remind you to really rethink how you're talking about your life and your story. Here's one. I'm sick and tired of. Now, some people say it's semantics, but this really is a system. I am so sick and tired of the way our government is, or I'm so sick and tired of it. Every time she comes around, all she does is, instead of saying I'm sick and tired of it, replace the word sick and tired with something else instead of that declaration. And some people will say, it's not that simple. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make any difference. Okay, keep doing it. But can I suggest that if you start to take those words out of your vocabulary and you confess something different, you can create a different reality and a different expectation and experience in your life. What about this one? I'm just dying to go there. What if you die before you get there? I don't want my declaration to be I'm dying to go somewhere. I'm so excited about going there. I'm creating a pathway toward going there. I am so happy that I'm going to get to go to Scotland again this year. Oh, you know what I'm saying? Change the outcomes by changing your language. Here's another one. Well, if I'm lucky, today will be okay. How many of you found yourself in that kind of language? Well, if I'm lucky, this will all work out. Instead of waiting for luck, live the blessed life by the choice, by choosing it. How about this one? I'm just having a bad day. I think I told you just recently, I don't have bad days anymore. And here's why. Because I refuse to donate a whole 24-hour day to a bad moment. Try not to ever forget that if you can. It dawned on me one day that I did not have to dedicate an entire 24-hour day to one rough phone call or some kind of line that Carrie said to me that just didn't resonate with me, just sort of hurt my feelings, or one of my kids said something that kind of just like ticked me off, or something was happening in the world that ticked me. Why allow a whole day to be given to one particular moment or even two particular moments? Sit with it as long as you need to, but remember that pain is inevitable, but suffering is a choice. And I'm not going to perpetually suffer. Think about the words, because what you're authorizing in the kingdom of your own self, in the queendom of your own self, what you're authorizing is going to become the decree over that kingdom or queendom. Number 3, your proclamation and your declaration. The proclamation is a public or an official announcement, especially one dealing with a matter of great importance. What is it that you're proclaiming over your life? Remember, the Proverbs say that life and death is in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit of it. Or they that participate in it will eat the fruit of it. Every word that I'm saying is a seed sown into the soil of my existence, and at some point, it's going to grow. And so I'm choosing my words intentionally. Now see, this is not just science of mind mumbo gumbo stuff. It's not like, I'm not talking about just name it or claim it, that you go out to your Buick and you stomp your foot and go Mercedes, 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 and all of a sudden it's going to be a Mercedes. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the narratives, the script, the story that we're telling. Not just the story that's coming into our mind, but the story that's coming out of our mouth, because you are the prophet or the prophetess of your own life. And what is it that your ears are hearing, you recite and resonate with. Think about it. So, Jesus said this. He said, it is not what goes into the mouth that defiles a person, but what comes out of the mouth that defiles the person. This quote is actually attributed to Siddhartha. No one for sure knows that Siddhartha said this. I don't know if you've noticed. You can Google some quotes, and if they can't figure out who it was, it's always Mark Twain or Buddha. Anybody ever notice that? So nobody knows for sure if the Buddha said this, but this certainly goes along with Buddhist principles. When I'm about to say something, ask myself, because my ears are going to hear it, someone else is going to hear it as well. When I'm about to repeat or recite something, is it true? Does it have truth in it? Is it necessary? How many of you found yourself saying things that are just not necessary? It actually was not necessary to say that. Most of the time we don't catch ourselves before we do it, and we say that to the person that we're in an argument with, and boy, that's all it took to light the fire. Sometimes it's just good to smile and remain silent. We all have the right to remain silent, just most of us don't have the ability. And then it's used against you in the court of universal law. Reverend Aileen is really one of the most wonderful people with this discipline, and has been really, she calls herself my associate minister, but she's been a mentor in many ways to me. And watching her response and she doesn't react very much. Now, I'm not pinning any extra roses, because I'm sure at some point in time there are some reactions. But there's more response nature than reaction nature. You can build that. See, reaction is exactly what the word says, to react or to act again or in kind. To respond actually acknowledges your ability to respond, which is a power word. Responsibility, my ability to respond. That's power. Reaction's not. It's just volleying back. And at some point, somebody's going to get worn out and someone's going to score a point. And we pay big bucks to watch that sport. Let me suggest that you don't make your life that kind of sport. People are paying way too much to watch that volley and see who's going to win and lose. Don't get caught in that. Don't sell your life as a commercial to watch you joust with other people uselessly. See, when you read let them go, we can read that multiple ways. We can read that something's wrong with you, and so I let you go. Or we can read, hey, there's a couple of things happening here. One, I resonate with the fact that maybe I'm not ready to accept what they are teaching me We could say that, or we could simply say, that individual is just toxic for my reality, and I've come to realize that we don't vibrate on the same level, and your vibe will reveal your tribe, but your vibe will also repel those who don't need to be in your close proximity. And that's okay too. Watch out your proclamation, and as Jesus said, it's not what goes into the mouth that defiles you, but what comes out. And the word defile means to spoil or to violate. In what way are the words you're saying violating the path you want to be on? And lastly, your script and your scripture will determine your picture. The URE in the word scripture literally means the action of. So when I see this, I see the script that you've written and the act or the scene that comes from the script you've written. I see it as a theater stage. And your scripture, because you hold it sacred and you repeat it over and over again, is going to determine the picture in your life. Muji Baba says this, don't only speak truth, act truth, and be truth. Because the script for your life is going to determine the scripture of your life, the action that you're going to take. And I know I can hear people right now saying, but what about when life surprises me? I've practiced this script, but what about when I receive a surprise? And I'm glad you asked, because there's a term in theater and in music that says the show must go on. In fact, they invite you to improv instead of implode. If you can't catch your lines, improv until you get a clue or a cue to bring you back to your conscious awareness. Back to that. See, this is why I practice it for my life. I'm telling you, I'm not asking you to do anything that I have not chosen to do for myself. And that is to practice the words that I really want to resonate or bring the resonance of my life or cause a vibration in my life. And I'm choosing higher words. Somebody say, I'm choosing higher words. What you envision, you will eventually outpicture. And what you contemplate will determine the content on your plate in life. And if you are what you eat, what is on your plate that you're consuming? Is it consuming you, or is it nurturing you? And if it's not nurturing you, then I'm suggesting that your contemplations change. As you sit in the quiet and the thoughts come, are you able to see them, watch them, and watch them go? Or do you have to follow them? And if you're following them, it could get rough. Because the mind, remember, is a wonderful servant, but it is a terrible master. So we take charge of our life. Your script and your scripture will determine your picture. I wrote this and I share this with you in closing. We are often sabotaged, not by external forces, but by our own inner demons or demonstrations. The internal news network exhibits a bias and presents not the latest news, but rather a rehash of past events. It operates in a perpetual cycle of regurgitating its Reader's Digest. It's akin to a 24-hour news cycle. It's never reporting on what's happening, it's reporting on what happened. And it always has a spin that leaves you dizzy and diseased. That reporter provides limited, negative, and often angry, narrow-minded, and not fact or truth-checked thoughts and opinions from a would-be journalist inside the unconscious mind. You may use him, her, or them as the research team, but not as the writer of your story. Let them help bring color and texture, but not the text itself. Take that reporter off the screen of your imagination and choose a higher self as your new news anchor. Change your news network within. Tell the story of creation, not the story of regurgitation. Tell the story of creation, not the story of regurgitation. This is an invitation further to thrive in 2025. Let go of the survival story and write a revival of your thrival story. You're the script writer. You decide. what the scripture and the prescription will be for your life. The stories we tell bring heaven or hell. Which one will it be for you? Namaste. Reverend Carrie Bell, if you'll come and share with us the announcements. Those who are joining us online, thank you for being here today.
Good morning, family. Happy February. So we have a lot going on in February, so buckle up. Here we go. So Thursday meditation with Reiki is 6 p.m. here in the sanctuary. This week is facilitated by Les Julian. We do have a prayer box. If you're not familiar, it's located in our lobby out to the left. You're welcome to put a prayer in there, and our spiritual support team can pray over those and reach out to you if you'd like. Also, if you're not familiar, our spiritual support team are in pink and red stoles, so they are available for you every Sunday. So we're going to begin a text message campaign. So if everyone pretty much already gets our email blast, that's great. But this is just another level of communication. If you're interested, I'm going to be sending out an email tomorrow to everyone in our email list. So if you're not on our email list, you may not receive it. It's basically where you can say, yes, I would like to receive text message alerts or updates. And then from there, you will get an opt-in to say, yes, I am ready to opt in. But that is going to go out on Monday. So if you're interested, be sure to answer yes. That's the only way to be a part of that. Midday Q&A with John and Carrie. This is something John and I are rolling out new. It's going to be about 15 minutes long. It's going to be every Thursday at noon on Facebook Live. So basically, we're just going to have a little fun. We're going to answer a couple questions. The community will have an email address where they can send questions to, just anything about life, spirituality. If you have a question about John or myself, relationships, we're just going to have a little fun. So join us, Facebook Live, every Thursday at 12. Next Sunday, the 9th, we're going to celebrate Black History Month. That will be our celebration Sunday. We're going to have a guest come speak with us just for a few minutes, not for the full sermon. It's Terry Lipsey Scott. She is the executive director of the Carter G. Woodson African American Museum. So she's just going to share a few little details about Black History Month and the museum. And that is during the 11 a.m. service. Let me clarify that. That's not 8:30. That's just the 11 a.m. Our First Unity Voices are going to be holding a bake sale to raise funds for their department. That is going to start on February 9th, and they're going to run it for a few weeks, and that is after the 11 a.m. service. So if you'd like to participate, come back and buy some baked goods. They would appreciate that. So I know we have our Spirit Expressing typically in the fall, but we've had a lot of demand for a book study, another book study throughout the year. So we're going to start a spring Spirit Expressing. Yeah, we're excited about this. This has been a high demand. So this year, we're going to be reading The Keys to the Kingdom. It's a 7-week book study on prosperity consciousness building. So we're going to start the host signups next Sunday. There'll be a sheet in the lobby where you can fill out. And then the following Sunday, we'll start where you can sign up under a host. We'll have in-person meetings and Zoom as well. So we'll offer both. The Leo Full Moon Drum Circle and Sound Bath Meditation with Emmanuel is going to be Wednesday, February 12th, 5:30 p.m. on Treasure Island Beach. Parking information's on the flyer up there, and it's also out in the lobby if you'd like to know where to park. The Oneness and Social Justice team is going to meet February 13th at 7 p.m. in the hall. They meet the second and fourth Thursdays of every month. Reverend John is also part of this coming up meeting because they're going to talk a little bit more about the FAST organization and how First Unity is partnering with that. So if you're interested in joining that, it's February 12th. I lost my spot. February 13th at 7 p.m. All right, our annual business meeting, this is the town hall that we have every year, is going to be Sunday the 23rd at 2 p.m. here in the sanctuary. So we'll give you guys some time to eat lunch, come back. They're basically going to go over the highlights of 2024. They're going to celebrate the milestones that First Unity has reached, community growth, and more. So everyone is welcome to attend. You don't have to come if you're not a member. You're as welcome to attend this as well. And then the last thing is make your plans now. We're going to have Jesse Powers live in concert here in the sanctuary on Friday, February 21st at 7 p.m. So this is going to be a fundraiser concert for First Unity. Suggested donation of $10. So make sure you bring all your friends and family. Jesse is pretty awesome. I don't know if you've heard of her before, but we've had her a few times at our other location where we were on 46th Avenue, and she's amazing. So I believe that's going to be it. If you have any questions, I'll be in the lobby after service. I love you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, go ahead and make plans that 21st. It's going to be a fun night. A lot of things going on in February, so I know she blasted through those as quickly as she could. Always go to the website for more information. That is firstunity.org for more information. We're going to receive our offerings now for the community as our financial, well, what I love to call my generosity practice and investment in the community. The ways to give are going up on the screen now for those who are watching online and those who are in the service. The ways to give are going up, and Gavin's going to get those up there. Yes, he is. Ain't that beautiful? And these are the ways to give. They're pretty typical. Most of you know about these already. But, I'm moving away from, we're receiving offerings and moving toward investment, because we're investing in our ability to come here together and nurture our souls, but we're also investing in the